Hey, my name is Chris Reichert with Specialized Bikes out of Morgan Hill, California. And we're over here at the Tour de France, and we've actually got a pretty special bike here with us. We're at the omega-pharma Quick-Step booth, and we've got Mark Cavendish's Specialized Edition S-Works Venge. Now, this bike here is a pretty unique library due to Mark's great heritage of sprinting and really just winning everything he's raced. We've got a custom painted bike that we unveiled for him earlier this year. Now, this bike is part of, like I said before, the Specialized Edition program, which is all about cherishing some of the riders that have been great with the Specialized brand. Mark Cavendish has been riding this for most of the early season. We've also got a few other riders like Vincenzo Nibali and a few others that might be unveiled here later in the week at the Tour de France. So keep your eyes open for those. Now, this program is special because we've got a number of bikes that actually go to retail applications. So if you were lucky enough, some people might have been able to get one of the 250 Mark Cavendish Edition bikes that went to stores in the UK, in Australia, and back in the United States. Now, with that said, the paint is one thing, but the bike is really what brings the rider to the forefront. Mark has loved this bike ever since he was on HTC back a few years ago, and when he came back to the team on omega-pharma Quick-Step, he was actually quoted saying, "It's the fastest bike in the world." You know, and we're really proud of what we've put together here, a bike with a full aerodynamic package. All the way from the front of the bike to the back, we're considering those small gains that you get from correctly shaping the tubes for real-world conditions. Now, when you start to think about what an aerodynamic road bike is all about, everyone tends to make the bike as narrow as possible. But a problem with making a bike really narrow is the fact that it gets very noodly in handling. And if you're throwing down big power like Mark Cavendish does coming into a final sprint, we need to make sure that bike is going to be stiff and very efficient. So we've actually taken a pretty unique approach. And if you look at the front of the bike, we've got a very wide tapered head tube here that translates all the way back down to the bike to very wide seat stays. That really helps to make this bike feel planted on the ground and when you're carving through corners. Furthermore, if you look at the tube shapes, we've actually kept a little bit of width to them. They're not extremely narrow. The shapes on the tubes are actually relatively oval. What that actually does for the rider is when they're headed into a crosswind with wind hitting them hard on the shoulder, it helps to keep air attached to the frame for much longer, meaning that the frame actually generates some forward lift. So when Mark Cavendish is screaming into a finish line at 40 miles an hour, he's getting the full advantage of an ultimate aero frame front to back. Now, with the Quick-Step team, you're also going to notice a couple other specialized parts. Specialized S-Works cranks. A lot of the riders are going to be running body geometry saddles and all of their contact points. Another piece of equipment that's vital to these guys getting to the line first is their tires. They need to have tires that they're very confident in the corners with, that they're confident in multiple conditions, and that's one of the things that Specialized has worked with omega-pharma Quick-Step on developing. Now, over the last couple of years, we've had a couple of little issues with tires, some flats in races when it really mattered, but Quick-Step has stayed with us and they've really helped us push the development of our tires further forward. Through the technical director, Rolf, we actually heard him the other day say, "We need these tires, we have to have them." And that's, you know, a really big compliment coming from a team just like Quick-Step that win just about everything they come to. Now, one thing that we've worked on developing inside of the tires is a new compound. And the compound that we've got in all of the tires, both tubular and in the clincher, is what we call Gripton. It helps to produce better grip in wet or dry conditions while lowering rolling resistance. And that's been a really, really difficult thing. We're working with a very famous gentleman named Wolfgang Arnez, who has been developing compounds for tires for the last 25 years. Through his experience and through the development process back in Morgan Hill, we've been able to build some of the fastest tires. Look for some tests in the media later this year that'll show off the rolling resistance and the cornering traction of the new Specialized tubulars and clinchers.